with reviewing anything by Will Eisner is that, well, it's Will Eisner. There's an award named after him.
Yes, I do know what you're saying. He is kind of the godfather of comic book storytelling in many ways, and it's often a problem finding enough superlatives when describing his work. But we are taking a look at the hardcover collection Last Day in Vietnam, so we need to give it a fair evaluation.
Absolutely. Okay, well, let's start by giving a bit of an overview of the book. Last Day in Vietnam is a series of vignettes with stories coming from the Vietnamese and the Korean War. Some of them are funny, some of them are heartbreaking, and some of them are both.
Yeah, a number of them, really.
Yeah.
I found the perspectives used in a lot of these very effective, especially in the title story, Last Day in Vietnam. It's put you in the first-person perspective that really kind of brings home this confusion and futility and insanity in war.
Yeah, I think my favourite one was actually the last one, A Purple Heart for George. As with all the other vignettes in the collection, it has an extremely simple premise. It's about a guy habitually getting drunk on the weekend and applying for a transfer to a combat unit, and then his friends ripping up that request before their captain even gets to see it.
That's the thing though, despite this being a collection of stories about war, you actually don't see any violence.
No.
There's maybe the odd explosion off in the distance or something like that, but you don't see any direct violence, people actually getting hurt. It's always the result of it. And I don't know if that's a knock-on effect of Eisner's experience of war, having been as a journalist and having been necessarily slightly removed from that direct violence.
Yeah, as you say though, the feeling of danger and violence is still there, along with an overarching melancholy, even in the funnier stories. This is an incredibly personal journey through some of mankind's worst moments, and the focus on the smaller details and the individual characters kind of gives you a larger sense of the conflict.
Yeah, well, I mean, Eisner was a master storyteller
Yeah.
in pretty much every way. I've got to say, though, my one criticism here is that I felt like it was a little bit short in length.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know, you can probably knock this over in under 15 minutes of reading,
Well,
and that kind of bugged me a little bit.
Yeah, you could if you were just ploughing through and not taking in any of the artwork or the smaller moments. I mean, Casualty, which is another one of my favourite stories, has no words. It's just the art.
Yeah, I know, and I didn't just skip over that one,
No.
obviously.
I know.
Look, I do hammer through stories pretty
You do,
quickly as
yeah.
a habit, but I did pick this one up again after I'd finished reading it and went through it again slower to take in all the detail.
There is an incredible nuance that Eisner puts into each quirk of his characters' faces and bodies is quite remarkable.
I guess you're right.
And I also think it's worth mentioning that this won the 2001 Harvey Award for Best Graphic Album, and now that Dark Horse has released it in a hardcover edition, it's a really good time for you guys to get your hands on it and add it to your collection, because it really is a beautiful book that deserves to be on everybody's shelves. It's a buy from me.
Yeah, look, it is quite a fascinating piece of work, and I think it does go without saying it's a brilliant piece of war fiction that is well worth the read. I do feel it could have used maybe just one more story in there.
You always
just
want more.
Well,
Always.
why not? Why not? One more story from his collection, because I mean, this was just a collection.
This was
you know,
his collection.
You could have brought one more in just to round it out. That said, it is still fantastic. It's great, the extra material that's been put in this collection, the foreword and everything like that. So it's still definitely a buy.